Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
Will.i.am.
What's up, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Welcome back.
Now, is this really you, or is it your digital avatar, or your doppelganger?
Wait, this is me, bro.
It's you?
Pinch him. Let's double check. Let's pinch him one good time.
It's me, bro.
No, I saw you say that, in the future, people will be able to sit in their digital avatar, their doppelganger, to do interviews and stuff like that. How far away you think we are from that, for real?
Well, that only happened in the digital verse. You still need, face to face. I don't know what kind of technology is coming, but where I could be digitally walking around the planet. That ain't happening anytime soon. Mm-hmm. But no, as far as that happening, that's just the upgrade of the next device, being able to take all your FaceTime data that they capture, and you're unlocking the phone data that is there, and that with the combination of 5G, be able to, have digital presence. All that data exists.
Yeah.
They're using that for dating apps now too, because it actually helps for people to say this is who they say they are. Like if you're on a dating app, how do I know that's the person it is? And they're using, I think, on some apps now, facial recognition. Yeah,
there's some concerns on that world of who owns the data.
That's what I'm saying. I was thinking, who should own that? Like, if you're an artist, like, who should own that?
If you're let's take my next door neighbor growing up and my sister's co-workers. Everybody should own their data. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't just be artists and the socially elite. It should be every single person walking the earth needs to retain and own their data, because that also applies to your medical data and you choosing, who has access to it, and you being rewarded by allowing your data to be, put into, machine learning to solve problems.
Are you scared of that data? Do you not use FaceTime? Do you not do the thing to unlock your phone? Are you one of those people that are going to still use the old flip phones?
No. I'm just aware of what's actually happening. So I sit on the board of artificial intelligence for the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. For the past 4 years. I've been a part of that community for 6 years. So I'm just aware of what's coming, the misuses of data, the lack of governance, lack of regulations on, the big data doppelganger. I mean, the data monarchies. Mm-hmm.
Like social media, right?
What?
Because they might have access to you too.
Well, no, they do. Mm-hmm. And then they sell that data to, have you seen? Yeah, you have to watch this documentary called The Great Hack.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. The crazy thing about that did affect our election. That did, affect Brexit. But people are complacent, and convenience is where everyone's at. But we're gonna look back at this time like, what the hell were we doing?
That's what it feels like now, though. It almost feels like nobody really has a grip on any of this shit that's going on out here.
Well, that's because there's no education, right? So they still teaching you in school like it's 1998.
Yeah.
They're not informing you on,
You said 1988, like it's 1978 still.
Yeah. No, it's, you know what I mean? Like, because the world has changed since then. Mm-hmm. Every move you make, every step you take, is being calculated.
Monitored, yeah.
And, it's the first time ever people are given a contract and don't read into the details of what they're signing. And, they use clever little words like cookies and the cloud, when in actuality, those are, that ain't cute what's going down.
Is that even fair, though? Like, if you're a 12-year-old and you want to just get on TikTok, you're not looking at the fine print. You know what I'm saying? Before you click, yes, I accept the terms and conditions.
So, not all of the terms and conditions are villains, mm-hmm. But there's some use cases out there and companies that misuse your data. So it's something that needs to be taught. People need to be informed and brought up to speed on what's actually going on, what micro-targeting is, how you could be persuaded, and how these platforms were designed to persuade you. You might think you know, are stern in your beliefs, but you can be pushed to do things you probably wouldn't have done because they understand your likes, your locations, your interests, your comments, your DMing. They understand what makes you tick.
Like you might be buying a house looking for a mortgage, and then all of a sudden, all these ads on
for low
getting
mortgage
a mortgage.
rates.
Yeah. All of a sudden, that's everything that shows up. That's all the articles that show up. That's all the...
Yeah, that's that predictive algorithm. So a lot of people think, oh man, my phone's listening to me. Like, no, bro, they could predict your behavior to a T with the, the sequence of all these different types of, data points.
When you talk about digital doppelgangers, I mean, if you look at all the DNA testing, like whether it's 23andMe, African Ancestry, you turning your DNA over, they really might be cloning you, bro. You never know. You might be in another country somewhere and see, it's like, that guy looks just like me.
Yeah, you don't got to do all that to do that. You could just go to the hotel and nab your freaking stuff, DNA from the hotel that you left over, from your hair to fingernails. Whatever with that, that's a totally different conversation as far as like,
They've already been cloning animals and food and...
What got you into this so far, like so much? Like, what started your peak interest in all of this?
In tech and
AI
and science?
and all that?
Oh, I think it was the school my mom sent me to. I went to a school called Brentwood Science Magnet, 2 hours outside of the projects that I'm from in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. So for 12 years, those are the schools I went to. And I always liked tech. And I'm a musician because of my computer, not because I play the piano or the drums or the guitar.
Really? Explain that.
Well, I started working on my laptop straight from the MPC, which is another type of computer.
Right.
Or SP1200 is
all computers, right?
Is a computer. So hip hop and technology, whether you're on a Technique 1200 or you're SP1200 or MP, it's all tech. We're manipulating machines.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So out of all the forms of music, technology and hip hop go hand in hand, more so than rock and roll with a guitar and you're singing. So when I like to look at it like, don't sweat the technique. It's not just because it's technical. It's machine music. Samplers is just machines manipulating music from the past, putting it and chopping it up on a grid. It's technology.
Right.
How will well, I know you're here to talk about the Parkland Rising film. We're going to get to that. But how will AI, you think, change the music industry, if at all?
Well, the bar is like super low. So can you make an AI that could crawl the internet, understand what's going on in an instant, create some algorithm that displays the information on a 4-bar cycle and rhyme it with this engine called the internet?
Yes.
Get out of here, bro. Yes. Can you have a developer develop different types of, patterns and cadences that the AI is to give you information around? Yes. Potentially 5 years. If somebody only focused on that, can it out-rap the illest rapper? Freestyle? Yeah, bro.
He won't even need auto-tune. He just fucking do it himself. He's a robot.
Well, the auto-tune is different because that means it's called the ASR, the technology that recognizes the voice, and what is it? Audio speech recognition. That has to be synthesized to give it melody. So that'll be some time away, or a big investment away. Does Google X have, the gravity to make it happen faster? Yeah. It's just that the bar is so low. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Now, see, even with iHeart, the company we work for, they have all these layoffs because they want to go towards AI.
Well, they already have.
What does that? You gotta ask yourself, what does that mean?
Yeah, what do? They have a company that can see exactly when people turn up the volume on certain songs. Mm. And they can program those songs to play more because they feel people want to hear that song more. And then when they change the station, when they hear other songs, they don't necessarily play that song as much because they feel like people don't want to hear that song, and that's all digital, that's all through HD, and they feel people anymore because that system could program the music, which is whack. Because there's no feelings anymore.
Well, that's relative feelings. Or that's relative.
That's your line this week, huh? Valentine's Day Friday.
What?
That's the line you're using?
No. You stupid, you fast, bro. That's a quick brain. Right? You don't freestyle, bro? I mean that's a freestyle brain, bro. You just pulled that out. That's dope. But a lot of these digital streaming platforms have that. They have skip rate algorithms. Mm-hmm. They have, length of how long a person listened to the song, and then that's why every song on these streaming platforms are like less than 3 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah.
That's just the new math. But we've been here before when radio first kicked off. Imagine you was a musician that played in a theater. You were the musician in the opera. And then someone said, yo, they got this radio. They were like, yo, 3 minute, 4 minute songs? I make music, we play for an hour. Mm-hmm. And radio was broadcast, like, all the different, like, what's the 106?
105.1.
105.1, right? That frequency, that band is no different than, like, spectrum. When it comes to T-Mobile, AT&T, you purchase that spectrum. And in that spectrum, there's amount of time. That's why everything is based on 30 or 60. Mm-hmm. A commercial's 30 seconds long. They figured out your attention span to tell that, or a minute long. They figure out your attention span to do that. Or a song is 3 minutes and 33 seconds at whatever BPM, and it goes around in 4-bar cycles. That's all math. And right. some A&R back in the 40s helped artists guide on how a song is to be put on a record that goes 33 1/3 speed on your turntable. Mm-hmm. It's just all math. So what we're talking about on iHeart or the streaming platforms, it's math. It's an algorithm, which is math, figuring out how, when a person turned up the volume, which is math, volume. It's just, you got to when you look at the world from a technical perspective, you start understanding how it affects you emotionally. That's the reason why I said that's relative.
Right. They've also done studies to show that certain BPM songs are the songs that get played the most on the radio. Like, your song has to be this amount of BPMs or higher, and you have a greater chance of that song being put into rotation. And, just even the hypnotic, like, feel of certain hooks and stuff like that. That's why people will listen to stuff for a certain amount of time or be more attracted to it. Mm. So people will be like, oh, they play faster songs on the radio more than they play slower songs.
Well, that's also depending on the bandwidth, too. So if you notice, when you go to, no matter what city you go to, the urban station is going to either be 92 or 105. Crazy that spectrum and the information on that spectrum is also conditioning to how we live in our communities. Crazy how they put the spectrum. It's no different on heat or putting something in the microwave and the temperature and how it cooks it. So the information that's being spread through this radio, very rarely does somebody come here talking about technology and spectrum.
Let's say that again. I'm confused. You said the radio stations are what? Because of heat?
So no, the radio stations are spectrum,
right?
And the people that own it bought that spectrum. Mm-hmm. And when you go into certain areas around America, just travel from here to Atlanta.
Certain frequencies have certain spectrum.
Certain frequencies.
90 something to like 10. I don't really go past 106.
Right. Those are urban frequencies. Mm-hmm. If you just break it down, Power 106 in LA, or 90, right? It's urban
like 98
spectrum.
to 106.
And if you want to go to college information, it's 80. They own that spectrum because it's it's closer. It doesn't really travel too far away from where that college is broadcasting from. So when and that spectrum and information, cooking or conditioning is no different than temperature on a stove or a microwave. So the conditioning of what information, the songs that are played on this spectrum, influence the lives of the people in the community.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't talking about healthy food on the station. You're not talking about like education on the station and guiding our youth to go down a path where AI and autonomous everything is going to be right around the corner. And when that happens, who is going to be hurt the most? what job displacements? Our community.
Black people, black and brown people.
Right?
Yeah.
When AI is everywhere, machines are autonomous, we get hurt first. Because one, we're not educated on this new world that's coming right around the corner. Fast, but the $1 trillion investment from the big, data monarchies. Right? AI is being far more invested in our communities than education. And if you're going to school in America, you worried about getting shot in school. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. So these are the kind of things that, I consult on because my understanding of it, I used to work at Intel in the Futurist Lab. Obviously, one of the first guys at Beats when we started it in 2007. I just like think taking. Now, my company, who built an AI, we just got acknowledged and certified by IBM. We're on IBM's cloud via Red Hat to offer up our solution to other companies as well.
But that's good, though, because it's like you're disrupting the frequency. Like somebody's listening to you right now, and they're listening to the things that you're saying, and it's cutting through to them because it doesn't sound like what they're used to getting on said frequency.
Yeah, I don't look. I'm. That's me. I don't look like. I don't sound or look like what you're used to from a black dude from the projects. That means there's more of me coming, like super knowledgeable, even beyond what my information level is on all things tech. There's some 12-year-old right now in some hood in America, and they want to develop, the next platform.
Well, that's their first mistake, thinking that black people are monolithic, right? Profiling.
Yeah, it's like 1920 right now, right? Cars about to be deployed in a major way. Airplanes about to be deployed in a major way. Electricity is about to be in everybody's home in a major way. Light bulbs about to be in everybody's house in a major way. Radio is about to come into your world in a major way in 1920. 2020, 100 years later, and we're still not in the conversation like we weren't in 1920 about how the world is going to be developed. Mm-hmm. It's like Black History Month, and check this out, it's like the worst Black History Month where black people are attacking black people. Just, it's sad with Kobe Bryant's death and all the things that happened because of it. We talk about the wrong things. And do we, or will we persuade? Because we all know persuadable technology.
Right.
Yeah.
How about that? You might think that you didn't want to talk about it, but you talk about it. You didn't think that you wanted to be a part of, just the ongoing cycle of like black smudge and pushing it down. You were persuade, bro. You were persuade.
What technological advances should we be looking for this decade?
I think the technological advancement that we should be looking for is being technical on how we encourage and inspire and motivate our nieces and nephews in our community to compete with the nieces and nephews of the folks that own the Googles, the Facebooks, because that cycle is just going to continue, and we're not encouraging our nieces and nephews and our sons and daughters to compete in that world. We're competitive, bro. Like, we're actually really dope, black and brown.
Hell yeah.
All different forms of black and brown. We just we're not good shepherds of our herd.
Do you think that things are more accessible for our kids now? Because I think about even like as far as producing, like you said, you had to have SP1200 or certain equipment or technology to be able to do that. But now it seems like everybody has a phone, right? And there's a lot of things that you can do from that. Like kids are playing with apps and doing things that I don't even know how to do.
Yep.
And
On your
they're
phone,
much
your
better
laptop.
at it. And then they're able to learn how to create things. And it might be more accessible just because it's not as expensive, too, to be able to do certain things.
Yeah. So in our pockets, we have the most powerful device ever made and do the dumbest shit on it. Right? It's like access doesn't mean you're accessing it.
Right.
We just have access, but do we
using that
take the
access?
time to just to block out all the persuadable tools that are all the persuadable weapons that are thrown at us? Like, the reason why you go to your phone and do the mundane, repetitive zombie shit is you've been manipulated. If somebody told you, yo, the solutions to all your problems are on that screen, you just got to know where it's at.
You wouldn't know where to look.
Hell no, you don't know where to look. you're just gonna continue to get hit by all the bullshit and whack information that's designed, right? So if facial recognition can unlock your phone, then facial recognition could also keep certain information from getting to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Because I even look at like investing. There's all these apps for investing that makes it a little easier for people. Like you can go on a Acorn, or you can go on all these different apps and say, okay, I've never done this before, but this is a way that I can at least get started. And they have all kinds of things where like you can invest in somebody, like say it's your son's birthday. And you can send out a request like, okay, you know, my son is having a birthday today, and we're starting his bank account. We want to everybody donate $5. Like there's certain things that you could do, I guess, you know, if you know how to access it, and if you're privy to that information and you look for it, that would make it more accessible.
yeah, so those are just like what I'm talking about is
Creating.
2030 is 10 years away. It's not that far. That's 2 presidential elections. That's two more World Cup. I mean, Olympics. 2 more leap years. And
It's
then
right
boom,
around the corner.
we're right there in 2030. And Uber drivers, they don't have jobs.
I still would be scared to get into a car that was
Right.
automatic, that didn't have a driver.
When's the last time you flew on an airplane?
Yesterday.
You think the pilot was
Yeah.
flying it?
Yeah.
But he still is.
Still would scare the fuck out of me to know that there's no pilot.
Still
They
is. It's a backup
got to put a
plan.
dummy in the front
Yeah,
seat
you
or
got to put
something.
somebody as a backup plan and put something in.
Dude, the world 20 being afraid of getting into an autonomous car is the last thing you should be afraid of. What you should be afraid of is that autonomous machine having more rights than a community. And you know what community I'm
Ooh.
talking about.
That's always like that, though.
It's never been like this. It's never been where a machine has more rights than people.
Can you imagine a black person going to jail for killing a robot?
Or going to jail because the bias algorithms in a robot because we're not programming the algorithms.
So you're talking about RoboCops, basically.
No, that's movie stuff. And if we're going to go to movie stuff, I would say Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to go to RoboCop and Terminator, I say Star Wars where people and robots and AI were like this.
Coexisted, yeah.
And that's because there were black Jedis and other types of Jedis. Fact is, right now, ain't no fucking Jedis, bro. Because that's the last thing we talk about is wisdom in our community. Knowledge.
Well, no. I mean, if it depends. You got the 5% teachings that they're all based on knowledge
no.
of self, knowledge
Yeah.
of understanding. But you're talking about like
That's
tech and the AI, that community, Silicon Valley.
knowledge, bro. Whatever that knowledge is, and as awesome as the 5% community is, and I grew up inspired by their teachings and the artists that that were giving me that information. We still have like crazy diabetes in our community and high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. Our community is not the healthiest community in culture. Mm-hmm. We still have like crazy incarceration problems. We still like are left behind and no investment in our communities as far as getting our kids up to speed for today. Hell, tomorrow's even crazier. So that's the kind of knowledge I'm talking about. And tech, we live it. We carry around. It's around us all the time, and none of us are doing our job to make sure our loved ones are competitive in that world.
It's so crazy because all that information is there, though. Like you could go back and read Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live, and it could teach you a better diet in order to keep things like high blood pressure, diabetes, and stuff like that down.
Yeah, and then the biggest currency that no one values that's coming, and that's going to be the most important currency, is trust. Because we're going to come to it this year. You're going to see like crazy shit like deep fakes. We're like, yo, I didn't say that. That wasn't me, bro. I'm looking at you right here. Like, no, bro, that wasn't me. That was some deep. That was a deep fake.
Wow.
So deep fake. You think fake news is crazy? Deep fake is crazy.
I seen that before. I saw a Barack Obama video like that.
Yeah, but you didn't see the person walking down the street. So Barack Obama was in a place. Mm-hmm. and he wasn't out in the world captured by cameras. So the deep fake that's coming around the corner is like when they hack CCTV, take, facial machine vision and facial recognition and swap it out in real time.
Shit.
And then the news reports it, and now you as a person coming out the store like, yo, bro, that wasn't me coming out that store.
They use that in movies. That was in the Bad Boys for Life movie. They did that with Will and Martin.
Yeah, but
For the stunt doubles.
Yeah, that's once again, that's a team of people doing that.
Right.
Real time.
So you said a kid could do that from his house? Is what you're saying?
No, a machine could do that from the machine.
Okay. Got you.
God, there's no longer people working trying to freak with it, right? It's just a machine.
Let me ask you one question, because how should we be using our phones then? Like, I read this book called Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, which is great, and he talks about it as it should be used as a tool. How would you say we should be using our phones?
I take the word use away, because because that sentence could be flipped on you. Are you using the phone, or is the phone using you? I want to understand the phone so I know if the phone understands me. So the phone can never use me, because I want to understand all things that what's going on in that world.
Have you figured out your phone?
Yeah, I know how. I understand. That's why we're sitting here talking about this. Yeah, it's just nuts. And
What should we be doing with it?
We should use it as a tool. Know how it can use you, the companies that you've allowed.
Right.
My phone uses me all the time.
And just be mindful.
So basically treat the phone like a white person.
No.
What?
No, like that's fast, bro. Like
you
you
treat the phone like a
you
white
should be
person?
rhyming, bro. Like what? You would be the sickest MC, bro. Like you got bars that just random bars.
Let's talk about you got a new single, right? This guy's crazy.
Say again?
You got a new single.
Yeah, so because I've been working on like tech for like 6 years, the Black Eyed Peas, we've had like we did Masters of the Sun, which was like a VR, AR. We went back to our roots in 2018.
Dope as fuck, by the way. I'm shocked that Marvel didn't jump all over that with other comics.
Oh no! So what the Marvel game, because it's a publication and we're putting out the comic book, Marvel did its thing. That will live forever. Mm-hmm. And then part 2 will come, and that will live forever, and we'll continue to build the IP. That's IP building. Right. Storytelling, myths, your theories, your character development, the world development. So that, we went from Black Eyed Peas to Black IP. So we own IP.
Oh, so y'all own Masters of the Sun?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, dope.
Yeah, so that's that. So, but we had all these like top 40 type of records, and I was like, no, we can't put these songs here because we just gotta stay. We gotta stay that frequency. Mm-hmm. And so now that we're flexing that, that global arm, I feel really proud that Ritmo is like taking off. Black Eyed Peas and J Balvin, and J Balvin is like the dude in reggaeton, and a lot of the success obviously is because his momentum, but the song is fierce, right? It's like 420 million views in 4 months, 400 million streams, number 1 on all Latin stations around the world, and now number 44 on the Billboard top 100 and climbing. And for me, that's just like, if you had a 20+ year career, like you ain't playing on top 40 radio 20 years in. That's not normal. So I take pride in our ability to like, still understand what's going on, the tone of things. And Ritmo, this is the first song off our new project that's Latin leaning. It's like Afro Latin, future beats, like taking future rhythms that Black Eyed Peas is always synonymous with, and taking like Afro the frequency of Afrobeat and reggaeton, Latin, smushing all together. So we got a record with Ozuna that's coming, Tyga and Nicki Jams, which is nuts. So this summer, this spring and summer is gonna be really, really vibrant for us. Really, really excited.
You an EP on the Parkland Rising film. Right? I didn't know this Friday marks 2 years since the shooting in Parkland. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so just it just breaks my heart thinking that a kid has to go to school afraid for their lives because there's so many school shootings in the States. And these kids from Parkland are fearless to go up against the biggest bully, the NRA, and beg really for reform. And so a kid has a safe passage. Just like I don't care how hard you balling, you ain't gonna go out and buy, a jet. You're not buying a bomber. You're not going out and getting a tank. There's certain things that you don't have access to no matter how much money you got. So why is it that people, wackos that aren't checked,
Right.
have the ability to go out and buy, not a gun, freaking AK-47s and
AR-15s.
AR-15s. Like, come on, that don't make no sense at all.
And it's a national crisis. I don't understand why it's not taken more seriously by the
It's
government.
big business. It's money. That's why.
Yeah, but so is buying tanks. You know what I mean? So is buying weapons. But there's certain things, like I said, that there's regulations around.
If they wanted to limit access, they could. If they wanted to regulate it, they could.
Yeah.
Even like painkillers, there's big money in that, but they can regulate that because it became a national crisis for a lot of white people using opioids.
Yeah. And in the 80s, crack wasn't. And we just ended up in prisons that are privatized. But back to the Parkland Rising, it's an amazing documentary because we've never saw the perspective of a survivor of a school shooting in a way, in the form of a documentary like this that came from them. Right. It's these kids. They're activists. They're pushing for gun reform. They're begging is the right word. Pleading is the right word. Like, for the humanity of us all, for the love of America and what we become in this crossroads. Like I said, the investment for AI is high. The investment for HI is low. And more importantly, with low investment in education, a kid then also has to, fear for their lives in a learning environment.
Right.
Not in the hood though, in regular neighborhoods. So, I salute these kids. I want to do all that I can to support the kids. We all should do all that we can to support these kids. This is that moment that we'll look back upon in 2020, the rise of the machines and the decline of, human intelligence.
All right. Damn.
We appreciate you for joining us, brother.
One last question. Who you like in this year's presidential election? 'Cause I feel like you would have been an Andrew Yang guy. But he dropped out.
That's a deep conversation. I like Bernie. I like Bloomberg.
You like Bloomberg, even with the racist stop and frisk policy?
I don't know anybody in politics that doesn't have a cloudy past. So to say that everybody's supposed to be, sunny days, that's not realistic.
He
No, I
said
agree
that
with you.
just 5 years ago, though. It was
There's probably people that are in office that just said some shit 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, I don't think we're looking for a perfect candidate, but I think that when it comes, it baffles me that people like Biden and Bloomberg are leading amongst black voters because they implemented legislation that actually hurt black communities.
Yeah. That
Stop
is,
and frisk, the 86 crack laws, 94 crime bill, like those things directly impacted black and brown people.
Did you like when we were in the 90s, did you like Bill Clinton as president?
I was a kid then. I wasn't even into politics. I liked him because he was on Arsenio playing the sax.
Right? Did you like him as a president now that you're older?
No, Because, I mean, well, I like Bill as a person. I highly disagree with the 94 crime bill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right,
but I would have voted for Bill in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting because that's probably why a lot of people might have liked him then. Even like the average person that might be voting might see something and be like, oh, I like him. I saw him playing the sax on Arsenio. Not even necessarily like digging deep into.
It seemed like he was cool, like he was one of us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what people do pay attention to.
but there's the area that we should be paying attention for passing of the laws are not the presidential elections. It's
Local.
it's when you're voting for your senator and your congressman.
And local elections, right?
Those are the ones that we don't pay attention to, and we put it all on the president. When the president is the chief executive to the machine, and we all ignore the machine. So, so that's not fair to say that the president is the one that is passing the. Yes, he does pass the laws, but we as a people should pay attention to all types, every kind of, when we're voting someone in.
Well, to your point, Bloomberg passed that law when he was a mayor, and Biden passed that law when he was a senator. So, it's just hard for me to trust him at the bottom of the ninth inning. Like, these are 70-year-old white men. Like, why would they change now? And of course, they're going to tell us anything at this point to get our vote.
And I think even for me, like being from New York and seeing what Bloomberg did, how it impacted us in New York, it makes you feel a way too.
Maybe I should ask you, why do you like Bloomberg? I didn't ask that question. Maybe you might enlighten me to something.
Okay, so let's remember in the 90s, in the early 2000s, people were rhyming about Trump, and our community really liked Trump. Then a different community surrounded Trump, and he's executing all the things for that community. And that community is so tight, and it has a strong voice that he can't move away from his base. What I like about Bloomberg and
Bernie
is that there's an opportunity for us to have someone executing our base. So it's not as that president good or not. They're going to do what they're going to do, but can they do for us?
For us, that's what.
But more importantly, can we do for us and be a strong base that doesn't weather and shift? That's the part I think we need to work on as a community, is everyone showing up, picking our candidate, and having that candidate work for us.
Yeah.
The reason why the candidate never works for us because we ain't doing for us. We're not aiming like I said, it goes back to what we were talking about. We don't aim our herd in the right direction to where we have economic power as a collective. Right? I love our music. Our music is great, but our music isn't the best for the state of our females and our strong women.
That's an understatement.
Right? Our music, I love our music, but our music isn't promoting wellness and mindfulness. I love our music. It's awesome, but it's really celebrating us going in and out of this privatized prison system. Like, how can our community once and for all just get a little bit more control of our faith as a community without waiting for somebody to do for us? That candidate is going to do what we do to ourselves. And that's what we see. So I see an opportunity in these candidates to do for us. What's wrong?
Gotcha.
Well, thank you for joining us, sir.
And how can people watch Parkland Rising, just so they know? Where can you catch it?
When is it coming out?
Coming out in June. Screenings are now.
Okay.
Anniversary. The trailer drops on Valentine's Day.
All right, so the trailer drops Valentine's Day, coming out in June, and screenings are now.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. It's Will.i.am.
Thank you, guys.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.